This show is brought to you by Celltech MD, the leader in regenerative medicine, balancing your body from the inside out. The background disappeared. So,
oh, sorry,
man. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
We missed one, but you guys won't know that we missed it because now we're just up to snuff with it. So we technically had 1 week parlay or whatever, but we've got something cool popping off any minute here. We should have somebody joining us with our first guest, I guess you would call it.
I would say so.
Yeah, like our first guest for the heavyweight show. But until then, what's going on with you this week, Tom? How's your week been?
It's been chaotic. I literally just ran from the barn down here to make sure I was getting on to the show on time.
Yeah, you told me, it's like, I gotta feed the chickens. I'm gonna be 10 minutes late.
Well, I did the chickens first. I had to go do the horses are up at the barn, so I had to go run up to the barn and feed the horses real quick. And then I was like trotting in the dark in the backwoods coming back here. I'm like, please don't fall, please don't fall.
Yeah, like your
please.
phone light on or something. Hopefully,
I don't have it with me. I got a little, dude. I'm all professional, but I got a little headlamp.
Oh, you have a headlight.
Yeah,
I take those when I go camping. It's nice to have it when we want to shit in the woods at night. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're great. And it's the only thing that weirds me out about it is every animal that I come across, their eyes light up because of the
So if you can't see them, you shine it off into the distance, and you see just these little reflective pieces on there.
So like there was one day we had like really bad storms. And so all the power was out, and that was pretty much like all I had outside. Because like outside we got lights all around the property and stuff like that. And there was one day that I came like walking up to the goat pen, and it was just like 5 or 6 pairs of eyes just staring back at me as I'm walking up. And I'm like, if I didn't know what animals of mine were in this pen, that'd be some creepy shit.
Well, if you see both eyes staring at you at the same time, that means they're a predator, right? Because they have eyes on the side. So like a deer, you would see it differently. So if you see them both in front, you need to be like, shit, is that a fox? What is that? Or whatever, you know?
Well, for me, it's either a cat or a fox out here. Also, I should have bet you because I was going to bet whether or not he was going to wear sleeves or not.
Of course not.
I mean, I was on the fence of not even wearing shirt at all. So
that's fair. It's fair. But
that's after the podcast. That's for the paid version.
More than 50.
Yeah.
It's warm out there. Man.
Gary Biceps, what's up, guy? How you doing, man?
Man, what's going on, guys?
Not too much. Not too much, man. Have you guys ever met each other in person?
We have. We've literally stood next to each other watching a strongman. Yeah, it was a very brief, like we were recording somebody doing strongman at nationals down in Roanoke. We were standing next to each other.
Oh, yeah.
We just gave each other like a hey, and then and then just like went our separate ways. He was recording his girlfriend, I was recording an ex of mine or whatever. They were in the same like grouping. But that's literally like because my girlfriend is friends with him, and she's like, "Have you guys ever like officially met?" And I was like, "We have literally spoken to each other once."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've had a few. I mean, we just run in the same sphere, I guess.
Yeah. Because like he's with the North Fitness guys, Andy and all of them that are phenomenal. And then Furman, like I watched him when he did Clash and all that stuff, the very first Clash.
You got a North Fitness shirt on.
I know. I put on a North Fitness shirt, and I did some hammer curls because I knew we were going to be talking to Gary today.
Perfect.
I think I'm Gary. I met you. We're here in Georgia at the North Georgia Strongest Man. You were trying to sneak into the 105 category by the skin of your fucking teeth.
I got it. I mean, it's always a cut. Yeah. I had some good cuts.
Now I have to know because I didn't realize how like ridiculous you guys cut. How much weight do you legitimately cut for these competitions? Like, what do you walk around?
Towards the end. I mean, I usually walk around like 245, 250 towards the end
of the
contest prep. Yeah. So for me, 18 to 20 pounds was pretty normal towards the later part of the career.
So like now this year,
go ahead, Tom.
I was to say this year I competed with Tommy Sharp, and he's finally going up into the opens.
Yeah,
and Tommy was telling us that he would cut all the way from 265, which is
he's
absolutely ridiculous. Like I'm like I was like, how do you have any strength?
Yeah, he's a little taller, so some guys can carry it bigger. Some guys are cutting for like 270, and then some guys get a little fluffier and all that. I think I was trying to keep it a little more manageable too. Like I have a hard time putting weight on, so that 250 mark is pretty good for me.
Yeah.
I didn't want to get this 30-pound cut and all that where you're dying to do it.
No thanks.
So, but the important thing is you are at least making the weight cut for the show, because we're not allowed to have anybody on the
always.
show that's under 230 pounds, right? That's what we agreed on, Tom.
Perfect. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, I think we said
that's
we
fair.
I think we set a clear guideline at 100 kilos, which is about 220.
Really?
fair.
Oh, yeah. So, I feel like okay,
Because I didn't know. I didn't,
girls
I
100
didn't-
kilos, girls 100 kilos.
Jesus Christ.
It's a big girl.
So Gary, what have you been up to, man? So now you're pro strongman now, like you went pro.
Yep.
And you're still competing in that 105 category. Do you have any desire at all, or have you tried to go into the open at all? Because I haven't.
Nah, open just not for me. I'd be so undersized and at a disadvantage. Like it wouldn't make sense.
You're not,
you
a
get
short
enough
guy,
wear
are
and
you?
tear. I'm like 5'10". I'm not tall by any means.
Well, I mean, that's what all the cool kids are doing. That's what Sharp and Canby did.
Yeah, a couple guys tried to do it, and it ends some people's careers too.
I've never like seen Canby in person. How tall is he? Because I feel like you and him are like similar height.
Yeah, he might be like 5'11", 6 foot. He's maybe an inch or two taller than me. But he's just got that ability to, like, he eats a couple real good meals. He's all of a sudden 270.
That's fair.
Whereas, I miss a meal or two. I'm 240.
Yeah,
so
I'm the same
it
way.
kind of
Yeah,
depends
like
on, I think.
yeah, like it's like you're talking about like dropping down. Like if you're pushing the boundary and having to eat a ridiculous amount of food to stay up at this weight, dropping 30 pounds is not that hard. Like if I get sick, I drop 30 pounds.
Yeah.
In a couple of days.
Yeah, so it kind of depends on what you're inclined to, like how your frame and all that, how you really carry your weight. So yeah, some guys do it well, and it's not hard to jump up and be 275 in a couple months. And I think the heaviest I've ever been in my life is like 255, and just misery.
Yeah,
Like,
you can be like Tom is the opposite. Tom could eat like one flavored rice cake instead of a regular rice cake, and he's 300 pounds.
Yeah.
It's well, so the only cutting I ever had to do was for Moss Wrestling, because like they had the 275 class, and I would be about 290 and go down to 275.
Yeah.
And the first time I did it was terrible. I didn't know anything about a water cut. I didn't know. Well, let me rephrase that. I knew about water cuts. I didn't know about the refeed. So I just did everything normal after a water cut, and then I pulled a hamstring. And then the second time I did it, like I got way better. Becca actually helped me with my second water cut, and
So was that when you went overseas?
So both of them were. The first one I was in Hungary. Hungary is where I pulled a hamstring. I pulled a hamstring in the first round because I was underfed. Like I cut all the way down to 275. Had a really rough water cut because my timing got screwed up with the time zone shift, because we had to stay an extra day in Germany, and I didn't account for that. So it screwed up my like timing with like the water loading and all that stuff. So I'm literally stuck on like I'm stuck on like a 10-hour plane.
Didn't you call me like last minute? Like hey, can you help me? Like I
was like,
I
was like, I don't know what to do. Yeah. And then the second one was in Russia, and I just didn't want to chance anything going wrong over there. So I made sure I was under by the time I got there, and then just kind of like coasted for 2 days, and then like did the whole refeed thing. And then the Arnold is a whole other ball game, because the Arnold, like everything's right there. And like there were guys that were cutting down to 275 and then walking around at 300 pounds the next day, which is just mind blowing to me.
Yep. That's usually how it goes. Yeah. People put that weight back on quickly.
Yeah.
So,
well, I remember
international travel with water cut is rough. I've tried that a couple times.
No, thank you. Yeah. Especially like, and I didn't know the time zone change and how that affects like your water retention. And that's where I got screwed up, is because I had to stay.
You get there and you're like, shit, I'm 10 pounds up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Just get in on a plane, man. Just get in on a plane in general messes it up. I mean, let alone traveling obviously overseas. But
water, how your body responds is crazy.
And then when you're trying to you're pissing every 5 minutes too, and it makes whoever you're sitting next to makes it absolutely uncomfortable for them.
Yeah. That's the last one I did was in Norway, and I kind of took the same approach. I was like, I'm just gonna diet down. Get on a plane as close as I can. If I, skip a meal or two when I get there, like it's fine. If you're gonna sweat a little bit, 5 pounds is nothing. So
when you guys fly, do you do the fatter than game?
I always
What's
do.
That?
I don't know those the fatter than game. So here's it goes. It goes, Am I Fatter is the name of the game. And what it is when you sit in your seat, you try to put your seatbelt on, no adjusting.
Oh yeah.
And it's am I fatter than the person?
So you're in there,
yeah. So if you can close it, you win.
Yeah.
If you don't close it, you
You
lose.
lose.
For the most part, lose every time.
That's fair. I respect that. You're probably on the higher end of the spectrum, so
Well, but the other problem too is like I get people that'll like message me and be like, I can't believe they didn't give you a seatbelt extender. I'm like, no, that's not. That's not what's happening here.
rude.
I'm not that. Yeah, that's very rude.
That's rude.
It's like, what the hell,
How
man?
dare
Like,
you
come
accuse
on.
me of that?
Yeah, it's like, damn, not that bad. Jesus Christ. Speaking
Yeah.
of flying, Gary, where are you at? I know you're East Coast, but where are you guys at?
South Carolina. Yeah.
South Carolina. Oh, okay. Well, that's not
Yeah.
too
South
bad.
Kakalaki.
Because you're in what, Georgia, and then you're in North Carolina, Tom?
I'm in Raleigh. Yeah.
Yeah, we're right here. Right now, I'm literally maybe 3 minutes away from where that competition was that you did back in the day.
Oh yeah, in
Yeah,
Georgia.
I'm like
Okay.
right
Canton
by
area?
it. So yeah, Holly Springs, basically. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in Gary's backyard in May because there's the Greenville Highland Games.
That's right.
I'm gonna go down there and hang out with people and I'm not throwing, but I'm gonna go down there and hang out with
Yeah.
folks and stuff.
Man, Chris and I have been kicking around the idea of doing that forever.
Do it.
So
It's
maybe this will be the year.
I was going to ask you
It
if
looks
you've
fun.
ever messed around with the Highland Game stuff at all.
Never have, no. It's never worked out. You know, it's always been kind of one of those things like Chrissy hasn't, no.
Oh, I thought she had done a games before.
Nah. It's always been like it's fun to do on the list, but like risk reward thing. You're like, you know, if I got another competition coming up, you're like, it's in the training cycle. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's a stupid way to get hurt. You're trying to throw a rock. But I don't really know how to throw a rock, you know. When you because it always seems like when it's like, yeah, I'm gonna do that, fine, whatever. Then you look into it a little more, you're like, holy shit, there's a lot of technique in it. Like, you gotta really know what you're doing. Like, it is very precise.
Believe it or not, the stones aren't what get people in my experience. It's usually the heavyweight for distance.
Yeah.
Because it's 56 pound. It's a 56-pound block that you have to throw on a handle. But like you'll get strongman guys. Like Gary doesn't strike me as that type, given his engineering background. Like it looks like he looks at it and he goes, that could be a problem. But you'll get guys that'll be like, it's only 56 pounds, and they'll be throwing it with like a bent arm, and I'm like, that is a really good way to tear your bicep.
Like just a football throw, like no,
yeah, like this, your elbow just
not good.
Gets off.
I don't do a whole lot of twisted and spin and all that. Like, man, it's like, oof, that's a lot.
So how's the hip recovery going?
Hips are great, man. Yeah. So I'm what is it? About 9 months out post double hip replacements.
You started pushing deadlifts and stuff like that not too long ago.
Yeah, I'm finally pulling from the floor. I basically just tried to play super slow progression.
Yeah.
Intro to loading, pull from blocks, you know, pull from trap bar, just get in positions again, try to find everything again. So I'm back to pulling from the floor now. Just kind of keep it comfortable. Just trying to play around.
We have another mutual friend in Eric Haas, and he was telling me about a specific procedure that you had. Yeah. That was one of the things I wanted to talk about. Like what is the procedure, and like what was the benefit of doing that over like a traditional hip replacement?
So mine was called a total hip resurfacing. So it's still basically a full replacement. They go in there, they have to carve out, they basically go on the same way. Mine was posterior approach. So they go in, cut the glute open, pull you in half, dislocate the hip to like expose that femur head.
Yeah.
So they hollow out your acetabulum on your hip socket, give you a new cup in there, and then put a cap. So on a traditional replacement, you get your femur head, comes down here. They basically hack all that off and put a full implant stem that goes down into the hollowed out femur. It's bigger implant and all that. On mine, they basically just whittle down the head of the femur and put a cap on it. So now, the way that was sold to me by my doctor, it's really kind of weird. It's not many people in the U.S. do it. My doctor's a staunch supporter of it. He goes to seminars and all that. He's like, this is the best thing to do it. But actually, another hip replacement guy sold me on it. Like he saw me here. He's allegedly the best guy in Greenville here. He was like, I don't want to do a replacement on you. I think you'd be better going to this guy. He's like, it's alleged, like everybody talks about it, it's better for a more active lifestyle. You don't have the risk of the dislocation you get with a traditional replacement. I know that's a big risk through certain movements. I think you can't do like some kind of rotational things or very limited in. So mine, I basically have no movement limitations with it. And it kind of saves a lot of bone. So when it comes time to get another transfer, 20-year or replacement 20 years from now, you actually have all that femur to go in there and, okay, we can cut that off now. And as a traditional replacement, you've kind of already tapped into that. So you got to tap into more bone and move more and more bone.
Well, that was my next question was like, does it prolong? Because the main reason I wanted to chat about this a little bit is because it's something that I feel like everybody's going to have to deal with in some form or fashion, whether it's a knee, a hip, whatever. So like, does it prolong especially like with the kind of training and the abuse that we all put our bodies through, especially nowadays with everybody trying to keep up with the Joneses on social media and whatnot. Does this type of
Those
replacement
fucking
have
Joneses,
like,
man. I swear to God. They're what's wrong with those
okay,
people.
quick diversion. Have you seen what's his face? Jesus. I'm drawing a blank on his last name.
Oliveira.
Yeah,
Yeah.
powerlifter or whatever. He just squatted 1,043 like it was nothing.
Yes,
Did his
I did
deadlift
see
like
that.
9? He
Yeah,
just like world record deadlifted too, like in training.
he's getting ready for the Sheffield Classic out in California, I believe is where that competition is. And it's like San Diego or something like that. And he's just been posting his training. And yeah, like a
Yeah.
couple days ago, he just did 1,043 squat like it was nothing, which would beat Ray Williams' record in the squat or something. And it was just in a pair of sleeves and a belt.
Yeah. Freak.
But anyways, back to my original
hip
question.
replacements. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Back to my original question. Does the type of hip replacement that you had, does that like give you a little bit more like life expectancy on that replacement? Or is it about the same in terms of like, I've heard like it's like anywhere from like 15 to 20 years in terms of the replacement?
Yeah, that's about what they told me too. And that, I think a lot of that depends on your lifestyle, how you load it. And,
Yeah.
if I was in there doing that, if I'm going to deadlift 800 for the next 15 years, like, so maybe
Right.
getting 12 out of that thing.
I can see the
It depends
doctor.
what you do and how you treat it.
Yeah, I can see the doctor right now and they're talking to you. It's like, yeah, so I think you're probably gonna get 15, 20 years out of this. I mean, the only time as long as you're not doing anything crazy, like, like
Yeah.
deadlifting 600 pounds or something like that, which I'm sure you're not gonna do, then you'll be fine. And
Right.
you're sitting there like, fuck my life.
Right.
It's like,
It's like
you're gonna get
asking-
3 weeks out of the hip replacement. 3
Or he
weeks.
he just happens to check his social media and sees him doing like deadlifts in a comp or whatever, and he's like, "Oh, okay, fuck me."
Fuck me.
I mean,
Fuck my life.
I'm kind of curious too. Is it more moving events that I should limit? Because I mean, that's if you think about it, really, your limitation is just a mechanical part. You got metal on metal, wearing and rubbing. So eventually,
Yeah.
like one's going to start wearing and get smaller, and the gap's going to open up, and now you just get wiggle and all that. And that's when the implant fails.
Well, because I
So
haven't
the more
talked to
wear
him.
you get, like the more things you do to accelerate that wear, I would think
Yeah.
the quicker it's going to wear. Yeah.
You would
Well, it's
almost
like,
think it would be more repetition, not so much load, right? Like it's not like,
Yeah.
oh, like
Or both,
like if
yeah.
you'd rather deadlift 600 5 times than 200 500 times, I mean,
Yeah,
that's what you
I
would
know.
think, but
that's why I was
I
asking,
don't
because
know,
I know
studied
you
it.
guys all know Matt Vincent. He had a knee replacement at like 35 or something like that. And
Yeah.
when I remember shortly after he had finally got the knee replacement, got it all sorted, he and I were talking, and he was just like, yeah, it's going to be like 10, 15 years with how much wear and tear I put on this bad boy. And like you watch him and he's constantly out and about doing something all the time.
Yeah.
And like at first I was like, oh no, he's going to take it easy, whatever. And then I watch him on the social media. I'm like, yeah, no, like 10, 15 years sounds about right on that thing. Like you're going to need another
Probably.
replacement pretty soon.
Yeah.
Gary,
Kind of
forgive
what
me
I
for
expect
being forgive me for being ignorant about that. How did this come about? Was this a wear and tear thing, or was there a singular incident that
Yeah,
happened?
it's wear and tear. So that's good because I mean that was my question too. Like I had hip tightness issues basically through my full listing career. My hips had just been like tight. I'd be doing mobility on them, needling, PTs and all that, just getting like trying to open my hips up and all that. And finally, I just went and got an X-ray, and they're like, "Yeah, you got no cartilage left in there." It kind of wore away, and so the way they told me, I basically had they call it a cam impingement. So it basically the angle that your femur head sits in that for me was just like a little bit off.
Yeah.
And that just caused excessive wear and caused the labrum on that top half of the acetabular to wear away. You get a little extra bone growth from all the extra stress on it, and it just kind of caused it. So when I would go into hip flexion, like even maybe like get a foot off the ground, like it'd be bone on bone. And that's where it all kind of ended up. So
what were you doing before strongman? I'm assuming it wasn't just strongman that like caused that additional wear and tear. Like what were you doing? What was your like sport of choice before that?
I've always been pretty active. So I mean, I've been doing strongman specifically or strongman only since 2013.
Okay.
Prior to that, did some powerlifting, did some bodybuilding, played rugby, played football and all that. So just kind of everything, I guess. So
okay.
Yeah, rugby doesn't help, that's for sure, right? Like
I'm watching the Six Nations documentary right now on Netflix, and I forget every time. Like I worked with a high school rugby team, obviously not the same as college or like the European like circuits and all that stuff. I forget like how absolutely psychopathic you have to be like a top level rugby player. Like those dudes are just like head to
Yeah.
head, literally head to head, just hitting each other, smiling, and then turning around and
Yeah.
doing it again. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, hard pass.
Oh no, yeah, the security firm that I'm not really doing anything more with, but that I was running and doing for the longest time here in Atlanta. One of the owners is from West Africa, and he came over here on a scholarship for rugby. So, and then a lot of the people that came over there as well, he basically recruited them. So 75% of our crew are rugby players from there,
Oh,
and
yeah.
they're all in their like early 20s,
Yeah.
And so like, but these guys, like you said, like they're just caught. And what's funny is most of them are short. They're not like tall guys, but they,
Yeah.
like Tendai, he's probably five, I don't know, maybe he's 5'9", but like he weighs 315 pounds and you wouldn't
His
realize
name is Tendai. Like, of course he's a bad dude.
you wouldn't know it talking to him. He's got the most beautiful West African accent when he speaks, and he's more articulate than any American that you would ever imagine, like the way he talks when he's
Yeah,
speaking
but
like this.
I'm
Great.
assuming they don't talk on the pitch. They just grunt and yell at each other. So you
Yeah.
see somebody
That was a
315
lot of
pounds.
talking.
Yeah, you see somebody across the pitch from you that's 315 pounds with the name Tendai. You're like, yeah, no, we're good. You stay over there.
No, literally,
Yep.
his thighs are as big around as my waist is.
Right.
At as big around at 5'9". It's ridiculous.
Damn.
And he's just agile, man. To see somebody that compact and just be that explosive and agile is insane.
what
We actually need to
Crazy
have him on
athletes,
here.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, what position were you in rugby?
I played mostly outside center.
Okay, very cool, very cool.
Started my life early as like I played in college, so it was like club sport, not super serious. And then a little bit of the medical team down here in Greenville. Got to college when they're like, "Hey, check this out." And I'm like, "You look strong. You could be a prop." They put me in there, and I'm going up against like 350-pound dudes. I'm like, "This is not fun at all." Like, no,
No.
give me on the backs, let me run a little bit.
I feel like it's kind of like semi-pro football to an extent, where it's like you get certain guys in there that are like they still feel like they have a shot, so they're going
Yeah.
like 100 miles an hour, and you're like, yeah, no, we're good.
Yeah, it's a very weird thing because you got. Yeah, I came from background like high school football, and like it is not football. So you get guys. We had a lot of international players, guys from South Africa, UK, and all that really actually know how to play rugby. It's very interesting. Yeah, you learn weird quickly. Like,
Did you ever play sevens, or we just mostly do 13s?
I played sevens. Yeah, in the summers we do sevens. Yeah.
So what do you like?
Misery.
I was talking to Gwen about that the other day, like the difference between sevens and because like the high school team that I worked with, sevens was
They're all sevens.
Well, they mostly did the full on rugby, and then in the
Yeah.
summers they would use sevens as like their conditioning and get ready for it.
Yeah.
But then like I didn't realize that at the US we're actually better at sevens than we are at full on rugby, and
No,
sevens is the sevens is the only thing that we do in the Olympics. Like they don't do like full on rugby or whatever. It's just sevens. So like we're a medal contender for all that. What did you prefer, sevens or full on?
They're both fun. I prefer full on now for more of a game. Sevens is just such a sprint, and most of the time we'd be drinking a lot of beer on the sideline too, and that was not good. So
yeah, right,
chug a beer before you run out, so you're puking a lot and all that. So it was a different experience.
But that's the nice thing about the Highland games is that's encouraged.
Yeah, exactly. I can get
drinking and puking is encouraged at the Highland games.
Yeah,
I don't know about the puke. I don't know about the puking.
Much less sprinting though.
As long as it's out of one of those big ass jugs with a thing on. What are they called? The males, or what do they call them at the Ren thing?
I have no idea. We literally I literally have had guys who will just have their little like Yeti like Stanley
Stanley cups. Did you guys hear they put fucking lead in those things? Have you seen all that? Yes, it's like, it's not a rumor. Like they admitted, like, yes, there's lead in there, but they're like, oh, well, it's not where it touches you or any of the liquid. I'm like, why the fuck would you put it in there at all? Like, I guess it's supposed to help, like
poison all these ladies.
It's supposed to help. Can you imagine all the soccer moms that get lead poisoning? That's gonna kill. I mean, they've taken off so much. That's gonna kill it.
Stanley was those were the ones that everybody was killing themselves at Target about, right?
Yeah, and now they're gonna die from lead poisoning if they didn't kill themselves at Target. That's as much of a freaking that's as much of a bomb being dropped as the crap with Vince McMahon, no pun intended, crap with Vince McMahon that came out here recently. Harry, do you follow pro wrestling at all?
Not really, but I mean, I just keep up with headlines. So I've read some of the.
You heard of what's going on with Vince McMahon? Yeah, it's
interesting. Yeah, some saucy allegations came out.
How many times have you been told you look like Roman Reigns?
All the time. Actually,
really?
It was funny too. I was in an
airport. I guess if you gave him long hair, I could.
Yeah, if I didn't have hair, some guy actually came out. I was sitting in the Charlotte airport like 3 weeks ago, drink coffee, waiting for my flight and all that. Some guy comes up to me, like I'm sitting there. He just said, "Oh man, oh shit, oh, crazy man. I was just talking about you and all your brothers on a plane. Like it's crazy." He's shaking my hand and all that. He's like, "Oh, can I take your picture and all that? I love what you do. I really respect everything." I was like, yeah, I was going on with it first, and then he's like, "Oh, can I get a picture with?" I was like, at that point, I was like, I don't think I am who you think I am here, buddy.
Who the fuck do you think I am?
He's like, "You're not Roman Reigns?" I was like, no, unfortunately not.
Well, I guess he pulls his hair back sometimes, so I could see maybe he had his hair pulled back. You know what though? In Gary's defense, Gary looks like Roman Reigns if Roman Reigns wasn't on the wellness program and he didn't have to drug test. Right?
This is true.
Gary's way more jacked than fucking Roman Reigns is.
Probably.
Like just
he's probably like 6'5" though.
Be real.
I
think he is tall.
Dude.
Yeah, and I don't think he's 6'5", but I think he's well over 6 feet for sure.
And he was what was he, a starting defensive end at Georgia Tech?
Was it Georgia Tech?
Yes,
I didn't know.
I'm sure he's a stud. I'm sure he's a stud.
Yeah.
If
you look at it, but that's the thing though. If you look at him back then, you can tell like he was way bigger when he first started.
Huge,
and ever since, because the wellness program, they're actually being strict on it now. So he's very much so shrunken down. Like I think they bill him at 260, but I don't think there's any way he's 260.
There's no way they're testing AJ Styles and Randy Orton right now.
Dude,
they
are looking fantastic. Right? Like that's what, but it's always when they come, it's always when they leave. I think what happens is like the Conor McGregor factor. Like they're not testing them while they're gone. Right. Yeah. So it's like, just clean yourself up before you come back. So those first couple weeks that they're back, man, they're just like gas to the gills. They're on freaking Lasix and fucking Clan and everything.
McGregor looks gigantic for that Roadhouse movie.
Yeah, like, for that. When I huge too.
When I saw the preview and saw him come like walking on the screen, I was like, Jesus, he was not getting drug tested during this movie.
But he probably was like 175, like still. Yeah. Such a tiny little
175
he was huge for like his tiny little 5'4" guy.
It's like the 212 competitors in bodybuilding. They look massive until like they stand
Hollywood smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, until they stand next to a door sill and they're like right at the doorknob.
Yeah.
But, you mean when Brian Shaw handed out the trophy?
When Brian Shaw handed out the trophy to Sean Clarita. So Sean Clarita was before until Keon won. Sean Clarita was kind of he was a Olympian champ, but he's like 5'3", I think, right?
He's tiny.
And
whoever greenlighted that decision should have been fired.
It's amazing. I think it's awesome.
Way to diminish your sport by like a literal giant standing next to your.
He looked like his parent taking 2 kids to school. He had both their hands, like his arms were above his shoulder.
I would say, if he would have lifted his arms any higher, those guys' feet would have cleared.
He could have picked him up off the ground. Yeah, they looked like having 2 toddlers. It was great.
Speaking of ridiculous couples, did you guys see this shit that dolphins have bromances where like 2 males pair up for as long as like
that today.
15 years and help each other hook up with females? How fucking awesome is that? Right? Like if you didn't like one more reason to love dolphins. Like they literally like, yo, bro, you wanna help me go get some tail? No pun intended. and then they're like platonic like male mates just to go get laid. Like
heterosexual life mates?
Yeah. Was it you? I sent that to a couple people and somebody sent me back.
It's like, dude,
they're gonna have social media here pretty soon. They're gonna have like Instagram for dolphins and shit. Like
what was it? I don't know, it's a random fact, but it was like pigs, dolphins, and humans are the only species that have sex for pleasure.
Oh.
All other species, it's like 100% just procreation, and that
instinctual or whatever.
Yeah, so
I don't know, man. I've seen some dogs fucking some bears or some toy bears that it looks like they're having.
Where do you hang out at? Jesus,
in the living room. You've never had like my mother. My mother had this dog. His name was Bailey, and he was like this little Affenpinch, this tiny little Yorkie type thing or whatever. And he had what she called them his babies, like little stuffed animals, toys or whatever.
Yeah.
And he would have toys that he was but he had one specific that he freaking took it to on a regular basis. He would wait till there was 10 people at the house for dinner and we're all gathered around. He'd bring that sucker in the middle of the living room and just watch us dead-eyed as he just goes to town on it.
A little squeaky toy too.
Exactly. He knew what he was doing, man. Bailey knew what he was doing. Yeah.
He's like, look at me.
Yeah, you look at me in the eyes. It's just like alpha shit, right? It's like some dominance. It's like, you watch me while I'm doing this to you. I did this to you.
This took a dark,
Which
dark
I think
turn.
is something. Yeah, I think is something Vince McMahon said in those papers that we saw. So
Stop it.
Ew. I told you nothing was off
What?
limits here, Gary.
No,
Yes,
it's not. But
did he like? I mean, I heard about like the serious shit thing. Did he like defecate on something? Is that what it was?
yeah,
Literally
Straight up
shit on
to
a
the
girl's
curb?
head in a threesome, and then made her
During a
keep
threesome?
having
On
sex
her
while he
head?
went and showered off.
He
Made her
showered
keep
off after
having
he took a
sex
shit?
while he showered off. Yeah,
yeah.
no, literally. It's I
Wow.
mean, apparently she was getting paid about $200,000 a year. So apparently that's what it takes, I guess, because I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I feel like
Guess it took more
once
than
that
that. Huh? No, she
happens,
came out.
it's like, okay, you're with your buddy, you're having a threesome, this and that or whatever. But once that happens, I feel like game over. Like it's
Yeah,
all
game's
right, that's
over.
it.
You
Like
just
it's
shit on a
done.
girl.
Even if you're into that, I feel like you do that and then it's over. Right? That's
Like,
the
that's
finality.
the finale.
The guy,
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
other
that's
guy
the
kept having sex
climax.
with her with the
That's
shit on
not
her.
yeah, that's not the intermission. Like that's not the like,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? That's not the
that
middle of the
clears
movie.
the room. Right? That clears the room out. Yeah, we're done here.
Exactly. Yeah, if it clears the room if you do it in not a sexual capacity, right? Like if you just fart really bad, it's going to clear the room.
I
And now,
would say we've all been at a party where that one guy did that, and you're just like, and we're done.
yeah,
Party's
exactly.
over.
It's over.
No, no.
So kudos to them for being able to keep going on for that, or
No
whoever was
kudos.
with
We're
it.
not
No,
kudos
not the
again.
Vince. No, horrible thing.
Shame.
We're gonna get
Shame on
canceled.
them. What are you talking
No. Shame on them.
Kudos.
I'm saying whoever
Shame on them.
whoever the other person was having sex with her,
Shame on them
like
too.
he
That's
must have
weird.
either been scared or something. Like I said, I would have been like, all right, this is it. I'm out. I'm done.
Like,
I'm
too
going
coked
to
out to care.
I'm gonna go get some groceries and go make some food. Jesus. All right. So back a completely different subject. Hey Gary, what do you call a snake that's actually exactly 3.14 meters long?
Oh man, I saw this the other day. Oh, Python. I saw that.
Ah,
That was a good
damn it, son of a bitch.
I did see that. And I was like, that's funny.
Yeah.
Clever joke.
So what do you
Where-
yeah, we do the dad jokes. We're kind of
Yeah, it's
we
fine.
are about.
it's actually
the
been a
dead.
thing with me and Tom for like fuck man, years, right?
Yes, plenty. Like 4 or 5 years we've been doing
Yeah,
these.
and I ended up
Yeah.
doing Tom's would make these memes every Friday.
I made him TikTok famous from
Friday.
just sending him.
Yeah,
funny
yeah, he
jokes.
would send me these memes,
yeah.
and he's like, and everybody's like, you should do these, and I had somebody convince me to get on TikTok and like do them in like live form or whatever, and they went freaking viral, and some of them got like millions of views and shit, and so I did that for a little bit. But I tell you what, man, talk about a time suck. Like,
Yeah.
it was fun for a little bit, but then like you start getting like all these
TikTok
hating
is
comments.
terrible.
Like no matter what it is, you get these trolls that are just. I'm like, I
Dude,
stopped doing it.
Not
People
worth it.
suck on TikTok.
People suck in general.
People suck everywhere, man. People suck everywhere.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
That's how it
Mean
is.
people suck, nice people swallow. The bumper sticker
Yeah.
back in the 90s. Remember that?
Jesus Christ.
You never saw that before?
No,
That was like a bumper sticker
What
back
is
in the
it?
90s, man. Yeah, it was all over Florida. Maybe it was just a Florida thing. I don't know.
It's a Florida thing. Here's
I
your
think it was a
answer.
shirt for it. That's back in the No Fear days. I know you guys remember
Big
No
Dog.
Fear. Yeah, exactly. Big Dog, the whatever. Well, Big Johnson. Remember Big Johnsons? Oh, wait, how old are you, Gary?
I'm 39.
Oh yeah,
I'm an
so
old
yeah,
man.
you gotta remember that
Yeah.
shit. So what do you got coming up? You got any competitions coming up?
That's been
I mean,
kind of what I'm trying
I
to
know
figure
you're
out
kind of
now.
get back training, obviously, but like on the horizon.
Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out what kind of makes sense with just obviously hip rehab and all that. Rumors that ASM is going to be at the Olympia, which is probably November timeframe, which might be
December, I
reasonable.
believe, this year.
I think
Or
they're
no,
pushing it back. They're
I
pushing
think
it.
they keep pulling it back, right? Yeah, because
Yeah.
this year
It was right on
Orlando was,
Halloween this
like,
year.
first week of November. Yeah, like right
It was
after Halloween. Oh yeah, it
literally
was
Halloween.
basically same weekend. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, you're right.
Oh, so they're
I was
pushing the
supposed
Olympia
to go
back.
and I couldn't because of my
I
haunted
think
house.
it always used to be like October timeframe. Then like COVID fucked it up and pushed it. That's why it got pushed toward December. They
The Olympia, that's
It used to
in
be
Vegas?
September. It used to be September.
It'd be
So
Vegas.
I went a
September,
couple
yeah.
times when it was in Vegas, and it was always September. And then it got pushed back, like you said. Yeah, but I think they're
Yeah.
trying to.
This year it'll be Vegas.
Yeah, it'll be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be the what is it, the 40th now, I think, or whatever. It's like the big one.
The calendar that I have has it as the 10th through 13th in Vegas and of October.
October. Okay. Well, really.
So they're pushing a little bit.
I only know that from Grid League. That's the only reason, because they do their playoffs at the Olympia.
Oh yeah.
And that was the schedule that they gave me. But knowing how that all goes, it always could change.
Yeah.
I think last year it changed like 2 or 3 times because it was down in Florida for the last few years, wasn't it?
They alternated. So last year was Orlando, the year before was Vegas, and I think they've alternated a couple because they
Gotcha.
only moved to Florida for COVID.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then the goal is always, I don't know if they'll do the alternating thing forever or just eventually move it all the way back to Florida or what. So it's a little more of the bodybuilding world than I care about. I've just been going to it. So I've gone the
Yeah.
last 2 years. It was kind of fun.
I love bodybuilding. I love following bodybuilding, but yeah, it's there's so many things that I love in the world that I'm not a fan of the actual culture of it. Right. Like I used to love like lowriders back in the day, like mini trucking and like all the airbags, but I couldn't stand going to shows because of all it's like people of Walmart. It's like people, it's ridiculous. And I'm like, wait, these are my people. These are the people that like I like the same thing I like. Yeah, it's like, wait a second, wait, I fit in with this shit. It's the same way with you know, I'm more into bodybuilding now than when I was actually, you know, like doing it and stuff. And you know, I'm into bodybuilding the way most dudes are probably into like football as far as like knowing the stats and stuff. But yeah, going to the Olympia, it's like it's a little bit of a freak show. You know what I mean?
That's how I feel
Even
about the Arnold.
The culture's changed so much lately. I feel like the last couple of years too, with like Bumstead being so popular and what's that TikTok super guy like Sam Sulek. It's all like young kids wearing like little like fanny packs and like the little sling shoulders and all that.
It's the broccoli hair.
Dressed exactly the same, wear the same shit.
Yeah. It's the broccoli
like,
hair
they
and
weigh
the
180 pounds and want to be classic physique guys and like, you know, they're walking around. Like this is not even really body. It's such a weird bodybuilding shift from what it used to be too.
Is Sulek an actual bodybuilder or is he just an influencer?
He's never competed.
He doesn't compete.
He lives the bodybuilding lifestyle 100%.
Gotcha.
And he probably will compete at some point. And he is sponsored by Hostile, which is like owned by Fouad Abiad, which is IFBB Pro, and he owns.
He doesn't have to compete though. You know why? What's his incentive to compete?
No, he doesn't. He's making
far more money, making way more money
than anybody competing. It's the same example as to like why people are like C-Bum's probably going to retire pretty soon. I mean, he makes millions of dollars a week. Like, why does he care about $50,000 at freaking Olympia? He doesn't. It's like he's got
the hell's he doing? Makes $1 million.
He's part owner of Raw, which is one of the biggest supplement companies out there right now. Not to mention all of his other sponsorships that he has, like everything. Like it's crazy. They started his own energy drink. He's got Bum Energy. He has his own freaking energy drink. The man has 22 million or more followers on social media. That's like Dwayne Johnson. That's getting towards like so. But I think the people that are fans of him are not necessarily, they're fans of him and not bodybuilding. Like I see like the people that are fans of Chris are fans. Well, Sulek too. Yeah. They're more fans of Sulek or Chris and not fans of bodybuilding. The fans that are fans of bodybuilding, they're watching Open. They're looking like, is Derek going to pull it off again against Hottie, or, you know, or is Samson going to come up and win this time now and all this other kind of stuff. Guys, we're winding down real quick. We got about a minute. Tom, is there anything else you want to ask Gary, or Gary, is there anything you want to say or promote, I guess? You got the Look Strong Naked, right? That's the coolest fucking name for a program ever. I should say that.
That's what we try, man. Yeah, it came from, because my interest has always been kind of like building muscle helps you be stronger, right? So I kind of came from bodybuilding background. That's where my training's always had a good emphasis in hypertrophy work. Got sick of seeing people doing powerlifting programs and all the time, putting no effort into accessories. So it's like, man, let's put out some programs that put an emphasis on doing your accessories now.
Almost like
build some muscle. Exactly, yes. I mean, that's where we go. So we have programs, we do all that, trying to push that and influence people to actually build some muscle and grow, rather than do squat, bench, dead 3 times a week.
Yeah, which will not get you big, you know, or not the way that you want to get jacked big. Not Sam Sulek.
No, generally not.
But. Well, they're about to cut us off, man. Thank you so much. I want to have you on here again, and maybe we'll actually pay for it next time so we can go longer.
I mean, this went fast.
But we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.
Yeah, great catching up, I guess. I see you.